It's playtime! Hey kids, it's me, Quackerjack. Woohoo! I hate to support that demented duck and say that you're listening to St Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. But it's better than playing Whittle Boy. Besides, Mr. Banana Brain says it's really a great show, Joe.
Now look here, Mr. Quackerjack, you're not gonna...
You aren't taking that lying down, are you, Launchpad? Oh, guess you are. Darkwing Duck won't let you get away with this.
Darkwing who? Oh, yes, him. I suspect he's too busy folding doilies to care about my little crime spree. Forgetting something, aren't you, Quackerjack?
Don't anybody try to stop me, because today it's playtime. Welcome to the St Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. I'm your host, Will Santana. We don't need that other guy today. It's going to be all me talking about my beloved favorite villain of all time, Quackerjack. Do you want to join? I don't really need you today, do I?
Aww.
All right, okay. And my co-host is...
Hey, I'm Mike Russo, and when you have $10 million in your checking account, you can have any toy you want.
That's right. Get him, Quackerjack. Oh, man. Mike, I am super duper excited today. We finally got to my boy.
Yeah, you've been waiting a long time for this.
Oh, yeah, man. And did you catch the promo at the beginning of this one?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's really cool you got him, too.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't get it until the last day of GalaxyCon, man. You know, like he didn't know me, and I was working for him for 2-3 days, and then that third day I was like, I'm gonna go for it, shoot my shot, and he said yes.
Fantastic! I'm so glad you got those. And yeah, I want to brag a little bit. The promos we've done for Tad and Katie and Terry and Michael, I've actually had the honor of writing those for them.
Yeah, man.
So I can say I've put dialogue in Launchpad Honker and Quackerjack's mouth.
Yeah, you sure have.
I mean, it's them, the voice actors, who are saying these things, and they're the ones who should get the credit, and they're amazing. But I feel very honored I've gotten to write something for them to say. As small as it was, I think that's very cool.
Yeah, and you write all the descriptions for all our episodes too.
Yes, I do. That actually, it takes me a while to think of exactly what I want to say, the descriptions and the character of the weeks too. Yeah,
man, I'm going to try my best to stay composed for this episode. It's not one of my favorite Quackerjack, but it's our first one. So, I've been waiting to, oh my God, just to hear his voice and talk about
landmark.
It. Yeah,
it's a landmark episode because he's finally here.
Mm-hmm. The episode is called Days of Blunder, and I'm sure it has something to do with that Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah, Days of Thunder, perhaps.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Mike. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I actually like the Simpsons version of that title more. Saturdays of Thunder, the soapbox racer episode.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the same thing. It's all Days of Thunder.
I think with the Quackerjack episodes, this one's kind of like in the middle. It's not a bad one. It's not a great one. But
if we're gonna specifically take the 5 solo Quackerjack episodes, this is definitely in the middle of the pack for sure.
Yeah. There's one, Mike, I'm gonna have a hard time defending that one. I'm gonna try.
Yeah, if people know me from my days of writing Darkwing Duck reviews, I think they know which one I don't like, and it's the same one you don't. But we're really far away from that one, so
yeah, we
have time.
Okay. But yeah, man, let's go ahead and get into it a little bit. Not a little bit. Let's get into it. I'm excited, man. This is Days of Blunder. When was the production and air date for this episode, Mike?
Okay, the original air date was Tuesday, October 1st, 1991, and this is deep into production. This is the 41st in production order.
Oh, wow.
Which is the only one we've done that's been later than this one was Home Appliances, Revolution in Home Appliances, which was, I think, 47th or something like that. This is actually, if you're just going by the numbers, we're just playing the numbers game here. This is the third Quackerjack episode.
Okay.
Whiffle While You Work, which is technically his origin episode, and Toys R Us, they both came first, and then this one. But like I've said a few times before, I don't think the numbers mean all that much. This one has a higher production number, but I definitely think it was probably written and possibly finished first, only because a lot of little things that make up Quackerjack aren't here in this episode.
Yeah, it's missing because I remember you even messaged me. Did he say his catchphrase? I'm like, nah, he did not on this one.
Yeah, he does not say it's playtime even once. There is no Mr. Banana Brain in this episode, and there are no toy teeth. So I get the impression this is probably the first one written with Quackerjack, even though the production number was so high. It feels like it was. But, I could be wrong. It's my fan theory, basically.
So kind of like that sinking feeling, like it seemed like it was written kind of early.
It was the first one, even though it was like 5 or 6 episodes down in terms of production numbers.
Okay.
I think they just come up with the ideas, they number them, and then they write them and they record them, they animate them in no particular order, whichever ones get done air,
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's how all these shows worked. So even though this is the third one in production order, it might have been finished first. Who knows? Maybe somebody can set me straight with that one.
Okay.
Anyway, so here we go. The story editor is Carter Crocker. We've talked to about him quite a few times. And as far as the writer goes, I want to give our writer a little bit of attention, because I should have way back when we talked about Darkly Dawns the Duck, and I didn't, because this episode was written by a man named Jan Stranad, and he came up with the story for Darkly Dawns the Duck alongside of Tad Stones. But since I wasn't talking about writers and story editors back then, I never mentioned him. So I wanted to mention him now.
Yeah, actually, so he's getting his share of love. He's getting his love.
Yeah, I want to, because more so than animation writing, he is much more well known for writing comic books, science fiction, and horror. So he's more of a pen to paper kind of guy than animation. He was actually, you might be surprised to hear this, he was very involved in the Star Wars expanded universe.
Oh, okay.
He wrote Star Wars comics for Dark Horse back in the 90s. And he's still writing stories. He's self-publishing. He's still at it. And talking a little bit about his TV work, especially for Disney, he wrote episodes of Tailspin, Goof Troop. He co-wrote Return of Jafar. He wrote episodes of House of Mouse. And circling back to Darkwing, he's got that story credit on Darkly Dawns the Duck with Tad. He wrote this one. He wrote The Secret Origins of Darkwing Duck. And along with Tad, he also co-wrote Twin Peaks.
Hey, okay.
And if you take all those episodes, those are really good episodes. Like all of them, every single one. And all of them have this kind of like quirky, very like, it's a great sense of humor. All these episodes do. And I can totally see his writing. I can see it. If he has a history of writing comics and Star Wars, especially Secret Origins of Darkwing Duck, which is very comic book inspired, I totally see it.
Okay.
So yeah, our writer, Jan Stranad, and like I said, I love his episodes.
Oh yeah, they're good ones.
Great writer. And as for animation, we have Sun Woo again. Like I said, we have lots of Sun Woo this week of shows.
Okay.
And
yeah, so Sun Woo, we already know there's one, maybe two sometimes that'll pop out, and I already have one.
I think because possibly it was later in the production, it might have been animated later, even though it might have been written earlier, because the Sun Woo animation on the characters is actually really solid. Like by a certain point in production, Sun Woo really knew how to draw Darkwing Duck. And I see it in this episode, like the shakiness of those earlier Sun Woo episodes is completely gone in this one. Yeah. Like there's a lot of strong facial expressions. Quackerjack is drawn really well. And there's just some funny visual moments. So this is actually one of the stronger Sun Wu episodes so far, I will say.
Okay.
Nothing too flashy, but I know which scene you're talking about in terms of your favorite scene. It's probably mine too. But we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. And so, yeah, let's start talking about Days of Blunder.
All right, Days of Blunder. We get an announcer starting off talking about he's announcing that there's a match of charity, and it's between DW and the dreaded Masked Mangler.
Yes, a big mountain of a wrestling duck.
Oh man,
And
he's huge.
before we dive into this 100%, let's have a quick little discussion. What are your thoughts on wrestling?
I was a wrestling fan probably in the 80s.
Right.
Late 80s. I was into it all. WWF, was it called NWA or WWA? I don't know, WWO or something.
Don't look
I
at
can't
me.
remember. Yeah. I was really hardcore into it. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Ric Flair, Sting, Ultimate Warrior. I was all into that. Tito Santana. But then my father ruined it for me by telling me it was a fake.
Oh,
So,
look at that.
yeah.
Relevant to this episode.
So once I learned it was fake, I was probably about 8 years old and I was no longer into it.
Right. See, I did watch it when I was very young because I had friends who liked it. And back in the 80s, I think everybody, like you said, kind of did like wrestling, and all those names, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. I mean, those are iconic wrestling names. But as an adult, I can't stand the sport. I don't understand the appeal. I get the appeal to kids and teenagers. I don't get the appeal to anybody over 20. And it's just, I don't get it. You know, I'm not much of a sports guy, but I totally get the appeal of most sports, football, baseball, soccer, or whatever. Wrestling, though, yeah, it's fake. There's no getting around that. I'm not a fan of it. But yeah, and it's funny, your dad ruined it for you by saying it was fake, and Goslin ruins it for Launchpad for saying it's fake.
Yeah.
But Launchpad's a big kid.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, let's get back to the match.
Yep.
Yeah, Goss informs LP is fake, and Darkwing goes in for a kick.
Yeah, a lot of great karate sounds from Darkwing.
Yeah, he gets tossed around like a rag doll, man. Poor Darkwing.
Because it's at least in this episode, it's not fake.
Yeah, and then after he gets tossed around, he's like, "Hey, it's my turn now," because he's believing because it's fake. It's time for him to put on a show.
Right.
Doesn't go too well. He gets turned into a giraffe, a balloon giraffe.
Yeah, we get a running gag here with animal balloons. The Mangler keeps turning other characters into balloon animals, and Darkwing gets turned into a giraffe, and Goslin pops him by accident.
Yeah, but before she pops him, don't we get an entrance from a certain villain, or was that after?
No, right now it happens.
Yeah, right now it happens, and he comes out and he says, "I'm out of here. Don't anybody try to stop me." Oh my God.
All right, who is this villain?
Quackerjack, and he's voiced by who, Mike?
Michael Bell, the legend.
The legend, man. Go for it, man.
So let's talk a bit. Yeah, let's talk a bit about Michael Bell. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting the man. You are very lucky in that regard. One day, I hope. So Michael Bell was born in 1938. He turned 81 this year, and he's still at it. He's still doing the voice acting game. Yeah, he looks great.
Yeah, he's in great shape, man.
And like many of these old school voice actors, his career started a long time ago, mid 50s. Oh, wow. And like many of these people, he did lots of on-camera work in the 50s and 60s and 70s, lots of TV shows and all sorts of things. If you name it, he was probably in it in some capacity. His voiceover work started in the early 70s, like most of these guys. And of course, working for which studio? I bet you can name it.
Was it Hanna-Barbera?
Of course it was Hanna-Barbera. It's always Hanna-Barbera. And of course, it's Scooby-Doo and all stuff like that. And the Smurfs. Who did he voice on the Smurfs?
Grouchy. I hate Mike Russo.
Oh, that's awful. Grouchy.
Well, he hated everything.
Yeah, Grouchy hated everything and everybody. And but more so than the Hanna-Barbera stuff, he's more popular for his 80s work on stuff like G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Oh yeah.
As you've mentioned, he gets swamped with fans of those franchises far more than Darkwing Duck.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on Voltron as well. Just a whole bunch of 80s stuff. His first Disney work was a minor character on DuckTales. You have him on Tailspin. You have him on Goof Troop. Darkwing Duck was his biggest Disney role as Quackerjack, of course.
On DuckTales, he was that onion guy, wasn't he?
In the episode Duckworth's Revolt.
Yeah, he was the Mr. Onion or something.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild episode. If you haven't seen it lately, that one's crazy. I will mention a character he played on Bonkers that's worth checking out. This gives me just a quick second to talk about Bonkers, but it's in service of Michael Bell. But it's in service of Michael Bell, so I'm going to do it. Have you seen the two-part origin story for Bonkers?
No.
He voices a villain in that one.
Oh,
Really
okay.
quickly, the villain's called the Collector. It's the reverse of Judge Doom. He's a human pretending to be a toon, and he has pencils for fingers on one hand and pencil sharpeners for fingers on the other hand. And Michael Bell's performance as this villain is amazing. If you have not watched that, watch it just for him.
Okay.
It's really cool. And getting away from Disney, I think other characters most people know him for would be Drew and Chaz on. Come on, Will, don't let me down.
Drew and Chaz? Talking about the Wonder Twins?
Rugrats.
Oh, I don't know why. Oh my God, I don't know why I screwed that one up.
And Bellin's dad and Chucky's dad.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And he performed on Rugrats for a very long time.
Yeah, for the Transformers guys, he's Prowl, the ambulance. No, not the ambulance. The police officer, and he's Swoop. Yeah, one of the Dinobots.
Yeah, so you know what? A lot like Welker and Rob Paulson and Jim, and a little bit of everything.
He's a legend, man. Quick fact that while we're talking Michael Bell and Quackerjack, when I was working with him at GalaxyCon and just chit-chatting with him, I told him I loved his voice as Quackerjack. I love how he portrayed him, the laughter and everything. And he said that almost didn't happen. He said he was gonna do a Kirk Douglas voice for him, kind of like Megavolt, how Dan Castellaneta did it for Megavolt.
I can't see it coming out of Quackerjack.
I can't see it either. And he said they were all in the room. They all got their characters, and they had to read their lines, and they wanted to hear the voices for the characters. And he said in his head he already had Kirk Douglas, but Dan Castellaneta got to read first. And he used the voice, and he was next. So as soon as he finished, he was like, I gotta hurry up and think something. And he said the laughter just came out and it just rolled. And I was like, thank God that happened.
Yeah, I can't picture Quackerjack sounding any other way.
Yeah, me either, man. So thank you, Dan Castellaneta, for doing that and being the great Megavolt voice that you were, because I would have never got my favorite villain the way he is now. So,
and amazingly, all those years later, he got to play Quackerjack again.
Yeah, he sure did.
That was terrific. I'm so glad he got to do that.
I know, right?
So, yeah, that's our Michael Bell discussion. We'll see you next week. So here comes Quackerjack. And really quick, we'll do more about it when we actually rank Quackerjack. But I love the design of this character.
Yeah.
We'll get
into that later. Yeah. Okay. So Quackerjack, he's robbing the box office.
Right.
Yeah, and DW calls him the terrible toy master of crime.
Right.
Mm-hmm. He sees it because Launchpad spotted it first, correct?
Yes. Launchpad does notice. And you get the impression, just the way Launchpad addresses Quackerjack, that he doesn't know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Which does lead me to believe this was written before Toys R Us, because Launchpad should know who he is. So anyway, Quackerjack's got this cool vehicle that we never see again.
Yeah, I wish it had a name. They never named it, did they?
No, it's just a giant roller skate. And he has a buddy in this episode we also don't see again. There's no Banana Brain in this one. We have a robot teddy bear.
Yeah, he calls him Teddy.
Yeah, just Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
His little partner in crime in this one.
Yeah.
So Darkwing tags off to Launchpad.
Yeah, for the wrestling match.
Right. And Launchpad turns out to be a pretty decent wrestler. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, Garth gives him a name, the hugely muscled head ripper, was it?
Yeah, and the announcer's like, the hugely muscled head ripper? Goslin loves the idea of people getting their heads ripped open.
Yeah.
She's so disturbed. I love her. And so yeah, Darkwing chases Quackerjack, and it turns out that Quackerjack wasn't committing a crime at all.
No, he was stealing his own fake money.
Yeah, with his little logo on the money.
Yeah, poor
And
Darkwing. He's embarrassed. Everyone's laughing at him.
Yeah, the entire stadium is laughing at him. He feels like crap. Poor Darkwing.
But then,
poor Darkwing.
yeah, but then Quackerjack poses as a fake informant.
Yeah, wearing a trench coat and a fedora. There's no way Darkwing should have seen through that disguise. He should be smarter than that. But it's a theme of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Darkwing. So this informant, Quackerjack, shows up as an informant, tells Darkwing if he wants to beat Quackerjack, he is going to rob a bank with a bomb disguised as a rubber chicken.
Yeah, but one thing that kind of caught me, he named the bank. He said the First National Bank.
Does he?
Yeah, that's a real bank, ain't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of towns have First National Banks. It's a thing in cartoons.
Okay.
Sometimes villains will hit like every national bank from the first all the way to the last national bank. It's always a gag.
Okay.
So yeah, Quackerjack's at the bank with his rubber chicken, and nobody there cares. Like the woman behind the counter is doing her nails. The security guard doesn't care.
And Quackerjack says this one great line that I love on this episode. Don't anybody try to stop me. He says it again.
Nice. And Darkwing shows up, and I have my work cut out for me in this episode because there are a ton of variants of I Am the Terror in this episode.
Oh, you get a lot of them, especially even at the end.
Yeah, and Darkwing is the only character who says it. His first entrance, since he's in a bank, so it has to be relevant, he says, I am the $10 service charge on all return checks. And so Quackerjack pulls out the rubber chicken.
Yeah, DW, like, he like jumps all over it, like in a fetal position to protect the bank and everybody in there.
He throws himself on top of it, and he lays on top of this chicken for hours. We don't have what's his name? Tom Lockjaw. We have Dan Gander.
Yeah, we didn't get Tom Lockjaw.
And that's a reference to Dan Rather. It's a really obvious one. Darkwing duck 10 hours clinging on the chicken, refusing all offers of putting him in a taxi and taking him home.
Yeah, and then LP and Goss show up at the bank.
Yeah, and Darkwing realizes it's not a bomb, and he's been had again. He's all embarrassed once again. He has a huge crisis of confidence.
Yeah, but then Quackerjack appears again, but this time he's not an informant. He's Dr. Leopold Loon. I don't know how.
Dr. Leopold L. Loon.
L. Loon, okay.
So he's dressed as a psychiatrist.
Yeah, and I'll get into that when that caught me a few years later. It's him, psychiatrist, Quackerjack. Right. Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later, though.
And once again, this is a disguise Darkwing should be able to see through. Goslin looks suspicious.
Yeah.
I'll give her that. There's a shot where she looks him up and down like, huh.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, Darkwing's so broken, he'll accept any help from anybody right now.
Yeah, so he gives him his business card and offers him a session.
Yep. And we meet another character in this episode, a one-shot character named Mr. Meekers, who I'm going to say I don't know who voiced him. David Prince and Neil Ross are listed in the credits, but I don't know who they're voicing, and IMDb has been no help. So I'm not sure who voices Mr. Meekers or the wrestling announcer from earlier. So that kind of stinks because I want to know who voiced him. He's got this droopy dog kind of quality to him. He's kind of pathetic, And him and Darkwing are there getting psychoanalyzed.
Yeah.
And Quackerjack gives him a questionnaire. And I love Meeker's questions. He gets in a fight with a coworker. Does he A, punch him in the nose? Does he B, tell the boss? Or does he C, hide under the desk and hope the whole thing blows over? Which one does he pick?
He picked C.
I love it.
Yeah, him and Darkwing are complete opposites. So Quackerjack knew what he was doing here.
No, absolutely. And even when they do their ink blot tests, Darkwing sees a pair of powerful protagonists fighting over the fate of the universe, and Meeker sees two swans dancing.
Yeah. But then Quackerjack hypnotizes them.
Yeah, it's hypnotism time. And the faces on Darkwing and Meeker as they're getting hypnotized. Again, great Sun Woo drawings here. They don't screw it up. I'm glad. And Did you notice who prehistoric Darkwing sounds like?
No, who?
It's Jim. It sounds like the Tasmanian Devil.
Oh.
That is exactly the same voice.
Oh, okay.
And he's doing an I Am the Terror in caveman grunts.
Mm-hmm. But that was
obviously you don't know what he's saying, but it's funny.
And it was the Mangler that was there in the primitive time, right?
Yes, the Mangler's also a caveman, and Meekers is there too.
Yeah, and he gets tossed around like a rag doll again, man.
Right. Yeah, Darkwing's. What does the Mangler say? Do you realize your primitive communication skills doom you to extinction?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the Quackerjack wakes them up and hands them their results of what their ideal job would be. And if you notice, he crosses his arms and hands them different folders.
Yeah, and Darkwing
he goes to hand the right ones and then crosses his arms.
Mm-hmm. And he gives Darkwing the one that says he's going to be a teapot. He should be a teapot server.
And Meekers gets the one that says he should be a vigilante.
Yep.
Yep. And this is, I think, unless I missed something. I mean, we're a whole bunch of episodes in. I think this might be the very first time Darkwing goes, yep.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time he does it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I haven't heard it yet. It's going to be.
I haven't heard it yet.
It's going to be like a thing he says a lot in the episodes. It's one of those Jim things. I guarantee it's something he did once, and then Ginny McSwain said, "Jim, that was awesome. Do it again."
Yeah.
Because he does it all the time. He does it a second time in this episode too.
Yeah. We finally get a Drake.
We do get Drake. Drake shows up. Nice
Finally
to see Drake later in an episode for once. We get so many lately where it's Drake first and then Darkwing.
Mm-hmm.
So turns out Launchpad's going back to wrestle again.
Oh man! And did you hear what the reward was for losing?
Yeah, $5 and a hippo burger from Hamburger Hippo.
Yeah.
And we gotta mention, Darkwing's decided to quit crime fighting. Yeah, he throws his costume in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the editing because you see a really quick bit with Quackerjack going back to the box office.
Yeah, he's planning to rob it because he was
only playing last time, he said.
Yeah, and he wanted to buy the toy he always wanted.
Right. The editing job here is really clever. Mm-hmm. He says he's going to rob the box office safe of, and then it cuts to Goslin saying $10 million because that's the prize.
Yeah.
If Launchpad wins. The editing's great in this episode. It really is.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed about Drake, every time he quits crime fighting, his instinct is to start wearing frilly aprons or dorky bow ties and to become like stay-at-home mom, basically. And I feel like he needs Darkwing so much to preserve his masculinity because every time he gives it up, he gets so frilly.
Mm-hmm.
Like here, he's wearing a pink apron and he's doing the dishes. Because that night he's going to be pouring tea at the Lace and Doily Society.
Yeah. But then we get a cutscene and it goes to Launchpad. He's wrestling the rematch and it's not going so well, Mike.
Because he's wrestling a snake.
Yeah, the snake's tearing him up and the Mangler's just in the background hanging out.
He can't do the pinky lock. That's his signature move because snakes don't have pinkies. So Goslin wonders how Drake's doing on his first day of work. And Drake's not doing too good. So again, it's the Lace and Doily Society.
Mm-hmm. We get an entrance, but it's not as Darkwing.
Yeah, I'm just going to read the whole thing.
Okay, go for it.
I am the kettle that whistles in the night. I am a little teacup with a teeny-weeny hole in the handle that you can never quite get your finger in. I am Teapot Duck. It's so lame. He's wearing a giant teapot.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of the Beauty and the Beast one.
Mrs. Potts? Yeah. And he's bad at this. He can't get the giant teapot to work, and he's squirting tea all over everybody.
Yeah. What were they doing in there? They were like reading poetry and stuff.
Poetry readings, yeah.
Yeah, and they put him to sleep.
Yeah, apparently it's like Emily Dickinson. I mean, she calls it Emily Duckinson, but it's obviously that's who it's supposed to be. But everyone's falling asleep because the poems are boring. But he's flooding the place with tea, and he loses his job.
Yeah, and then it cuts to Quackerjack.
Yeah, Quackerjack is robbing the box office because he says his plan is to buy the ultimate toy that will help him rob more safes.
Yep, and then we get a new hero.
It is Meekers as the Lavender Wrist Slapper. He says, I am the terrier that nips at your shoelaces. I am the lavender wrist slapper. And he has the gas gun too. He says, grab Sky, bad guy.
Yeah, he even tells him, doesn't he tell him to suck gas evildoer?
No, he says, grab Sky, bad guy.
Okay. But Quackerjack loves that gas he shot. He loves it.
It's laughing gas.
Yeah, laughing gas. He even tells him, I love laughing gas. He's like, I love this stuff.
And we get, I think, one of the first times you get a real long Michael Bell Quackerjack laugh.
Yeah, it was going on for a couple seconds, man.
One of those laughs that's just right from the gut. And he's good at that. Mm-hmm. And he tells Meekers he has to fire his tailor. And Meekers says he found the costume at the county landfill. I love Quackerjack's line. I always shop for new clothes when I'm down in the dumps. But then he gets rid of Meekers, tosses him aside. He's barely a threat. Yeah. And then says, Teddy, let's get the goods before any more idiots show up. Who should walk in?
Yeah,
Launchpad and Goslin.
Yep.
And you know what? In this episode, and a little bit in Toys R Us, Quackerjack's not playing around. Like in this one, he's out for blood. And he's treated a little bit more dangerously than he later would, I think. Because Goslin walks in and sees him with the pistol. Like, we don't know it's a joke pistol with a boxing glove on it. Yeah. So he looks dangerous with that thing.
He looked very dangerous. But LP didn't show up for that. He wanted his Hippo Burger coupon.
Yeah, because he lost, but he's losing with honor. He just wants his burger.
Yeah.
And, Launchpad actually, threatens him a little bit. Launchpad gets in his face. Mm-hmm. And Quackerjack knocks him out with the boxing glove.
Yeah, and then Quackerjack and Teddy, they kidnap Goslin.
Yeah, but I love this bit with Goslin. Launchpad's in a daze, and Goslin goes, "You aren't going to take that lying down, aren't you, Launchpad?" And she slaps him in the butt, and he passes out. And she goes, "Oh, guess you are."
And somebody shows up again, Mike.
Meekers tries one more time to stop them, yeah. But the flamethrower and the gas gun throws him into the wall, and he just gives up. And Quackerjack's got Goslin in his giant roller skate, and Quackerjack's gone.
Yeah, and then we go back to Drake. He's playing the harmonica.
Yeah.
There's the way they cut on this one. You were right. The editing was really good on this one.
I do like the back and forth between how bad Drake's doing at the Lace and Doily to Meekers getting his butt kicked. There's some good editing there. Mm-hmm. And you're right. This episode flows very well. It's very well written and edited. So Darkwing, he's done this before. When he's down on his luck, he always pulls out the harmonica. He did that in Duck Blind too.
Yeah.
And now here's something that they wouldn't do now. Meekers tries to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty dark.
Yeah.
How often do you see that in cartoons like this?
Yeah, it was really strange to see that. I get why they were doing it, because they had to put Meekers with Drake, to swap them back. But Mike, this is I'm gonna change the subject just really quick. This is the scene where the animation I was really impressed. This is the scene. Yeah, this is it with the star scene and the bridge and the lightning that happens when Drake gets the costume back. This whole sequence was when I was really impressed with the animation.
He's trying to talk Meekers out of killing himself by just telling him, you should. I forget the whole speech because it's this long speech from Drake about filling up your eyes with those stars. You have to be there when fate rings, and by doing that, he gets his confidence back.
Yeah, it was one of those things where you give a good speech and then you realize you need to take your own advice.
That's very well said, Will. Mm-hmm. And of course, the rope gets stuck to his ankle, and Drake gets pulled into the bay, and Launchpad saves him in the nick of time. And Meekers heads off. We don't see Meekers again. He picks up the teapot and says he'll try to get that job at the Lace and Doily Society, which he probably will be pretty good at.
Yeah, Darkwing gets the gas gun back.
Yeah, and then my favorite shot in the episode where his shadow's against the bridge with the lightning.
Yeah.
It's a really well done shot when he says Darkwing Duck is back. And it's really well done.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That whole sequence on the bridge, I love the whole animation for it, man. It was awesome, dude. Even the rope was so detailed, everything.
Yeah, good angles, good lighting. I love the shot of the sky with the stars. Mm-hmm. Again, this is coming at a point where Sun Wu's got its act together.
Yeah.
And you see it with the character drawings, with the layouts, with everything. Is Sun Wu's kind of nailing it at this point, and that continues into the next 2 episodes we're doing. So we're getting some good Sun Wu. This one's actually really strong visually for Sun Wu. And now we see what the ultimate toy is.
Terror Teddy shows up.
And I love the reveal. You see the city street, and the giant teddy bear walks around the corner like a Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
And Quackerjack's controlling it, and that's when he says, if you got $10 million in your checking account, you can have any toy you want. He sings it, but I'm not going to sing it. So Darkwing comes to the rescue.
He shows up, but he gets eaten by Terror Teddy.
But he always carries a hydraulic jack with him.
I know, right?
Just like he always carries a giant hedge trimmers when he's against Bushroot. He always has exactly what he needs. And he crawls up the teddy bear's nose, actually. Mm-hmm. That's how he gets into the head.
Now, Mike, did you notice a reference that Gosling makes in here on this scene?
Yeah, when Quackerjack sicks the little teddy on her, she tells him to call off Winnie the Ghoul.
Obviously, that's Winnie the Pooh, that reference.
Yeah, Disney poking fun at their own character.
Mm-hmm.
So Darkwing shows up again and gets to get another entrance.
Yeah, this is his third one now, right?
A ton of these things in this one. He says, I am the widget missing from the easy-to-assemble swing set.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think that's true. I think most swing sets are pretty impossible to put together. I know we had one as a kid. But Darkwing blows up Teddy.
Little Teddy first, right?
Little Teddy. Yeah, because, the big one's disabled now that he's inside of it.
Yeah.
And so Quackerjack takes the pistol again and sucks up the gas gun. And great line from Quackerjack. He says, without your weapons to hide behind, you're just a duck whose mother dresses him funny. That line always stood out to me.
Yeah.
And so Darkwing hypnotizes Quackerjack.
And he sends him to his primitive past.
And the big primitive mask mangler turns him into an inflatable triceratops.
All right, Mike, I'm going to let you take away this ending because you're about to have fun with this part. Go for it.
Right. So Quackerjack's hypnotized in the back of the Thunderquack, and Darkwing's happy to be back. And he does another yep, 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 yep. And then he starts a run of I Am the Terror lines. This is how the episode closes. The first one is, I am the ingrown toenail in the foot of crime. And then he goes, I am the zit that forms when you've got a really big date. And Gosling's already done with him. And he starts to say, I am the impacted wisdom tooth. And she stops him. And just as we're fading out, you hear one more, I am, and then we fade out and the episode's over. So we get 3 of them here. We get the swing set one. We get the service charge. We get the teapot one. And we get Mr. Meekers doing the Terry that nips the shoelaces. So I think this one sets a record for how many times anybody does an I Am the Terror thing. Oh, and the primitive one that you can't hear.
Yeah, the primitive one. That's right.
So wow. Yeah, Jan Stranad had a lot of fun writing these things for this episode. This is what I mean. This episode is deep enough in production. They're having fun. They're like almost having meta fun with the Darkwing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Between that and the yep, yep, yeps, and like the karate sounds at the beginning, this is like Darkwing is like there. This is the Darkwing we love.
And then you bring Michael Bell on board with it, man. Woo.
Like Gosling is functional. She's a hostage, but she's still functional. Launchpad gets a great side plot. And, of course, you got Quackerjack. And even Sun Wu's not phoning it in. Mm-hmm. This is a good one.
All right.
Like the earlier ones, like You Spite Your Life was and Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlatan was But this one, this is a great Sun Wu episode. And as great as it is, it's just a primer for the next 2 we're going to do.
I'm clapping, Mike. I'm excited that you like this one like that. Yes.
It's a good one to keep going back to. It's just funny enough. It's a really well done show. It's not Quackerjack's finest hour.
No,
definitely
it's not.
Is not, because the character's still
but
not all there. But it works. I wouldn't have minded seeing Banana Brain, but we're getting them soon.
Yeah.
And it's a great episode. It really is.
All right. Oh, Mike, I'm curious now to hear how many gas gun canisters you're gonna give this episode. I'm really curious. Go for it.
Yeah, no problem. So let's rate it. I'm gonna give it 3.5.
Okay.
It's not as high as, I don't know if it's as high as you were expecting, but that's still way above average.
Mm-hmm.
Was 3.5, because it's higher than most Sunwoo episodes that I'd rate. But again, it's not the best Quackerjack episode. I don't want to rate it too high because there are better ones with him.
Okay.
You know, not just his solo episodes, the ones he's in with Megavolt are stronger than this, and you have all his appearances with the Fearsome Five to take into account as well.
Mm-hmm.
So 3.5, it's one of the better Sunwoo episodes, and I like it a lot. But
Okay.
is it in my top 10? No. But
Okay.
it's really good. It's worth going back to. How about you?
All right. All right. Whew. This episode, as we said earlier, it's not one of my favorite Quackerjacks. It's in the middle ballpark.
Right.
Okay. It's hard for me to give it a 3.5 because I love Quackerjack so much. I love the editing on this one. I love Darkwing on this one. I love Launchpad so much in this one with the wrestling, the pinky jokes,
Right.
the pinky lock and the hippo burger. I love how they always bring the hippo burger into him. Michael Bell's
And that running joke with the balloon animals. They keep going back to it. They close the episode with it and begin the episode with it. Smart writing.
seeing Quackerjack as the informant, as Dr. Leopold L. Loon,
Right.
seeing him as Quackerjack, seeing him doing the hypnotized voice when he was hypnotizing, and then seeing Jim Cummings do the same thing.
You is getting sleepy, Quackerjack.
This episode, man, for me it's really good. I love it. It's not a perfect 5. I gotta save those on some of the Quackerjack ones. I gotta save them. So I'm gonna go a little higher than you, and I'm gonna go 4.
Okay.
Okay. I know maybe my biasness jumped it a half a score over yours. I'm okay with that. I'm okay
I was
with that.
close to going 4, but then I remember how good some other Quackerjack episodes actually are. So I couldn't. I backed off.
Okay. All right. Now we got to go into the villain.
Let's talk about Quackerjack.
Yeah, we got to go into talk about Quackerjack. I want you to go first. Say something for me,
it's fine.
please.
It's fine. It's fine. Because we haven't had a big villain like this to talk about in a while. Boy, next episode we're gonna have another one to go talk about too. Jeez.
Next one's gonna be hard, man. I don't know how we're gonna
be
do
a
it.
long one. You guys better either have a long commute or put aside some time that night because we're gonna be going for a while with the next one. But anyway, Quackerjack.
Mm-hmm.
He's top tier. I want to say that he's top tier, but he doesn't by a hair. He doesn't quite get to Megavolt. And I'm not saying that out of bias. It's just that Megavolt's so iconic and he's so well known that you can't quite. If Quackerjack had been like one of the earliest villains, I think it would be no contest. But he's just under Megavolt. But he's still a fantastic character. Like the design is so perfect.
Okay.
Like I love the way he's drawn. Just the jester hat and the collar and the big poofy pants and the big beak. Like he's so deranged. The big beak with the buck teeth, those tiny eyes. He's such a great design. And his shtick with the toys.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
so
Wait.
much to do
You
with
gotta
it.
save me some. You gotta save me some.
I
man.
am. You can say you can, and you know what? And I'll save that for you. And Bell's voice acting for the character. He has different voices depending on how Quackerjack is being played. He can be fun and friendly and actually pretty pleasant, or he can be dark. Like he has a range. And
What's your score? What's your score?
Quackerjack, I'm gonna give him a 5.
Yes.
He may not get. Like I said, he's a hair under Megavolt, but not low enough to drop him anything lower than a 5.
And you know what? I'm not disappointed one bit with your score. I love it because going into this, me and you had these conversation, and I knew up front you was a Megavolt guy, you're a Negaduck guy,
Right.
but I still love that you gave my boy his love. I love that. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
I do, man. All right.
Before you get started, can I just say one thing?
Go for
Why
it.
do we have no Quackerjack merchandise? I've said it before. I've said it again. Why do we have no ever? There has never ever been Quackerjack merchandise.
Well,
Somebody needs to fix that.
Well, quick fact about that. You know those prototypes that we all seen the photos of the second wave. Michael Bell told me he has the prototype of the Quackerjack, and he said it's like 10 feet tall to his prototype. And he says, unfortunately though, his isn't painted; it's all white. because it's a prototype.
There's somebody I think on the Darkwing Forever group who collects the prototypes. He has a painted Quackerjack.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he has he has Morgana, Gizmo Duck, all of them.
Oh wow.
And
I'm jealous.
Yeah, he does have a painted prototype. It's a shame. I think the Funko action figures are dead because that would have been a perfect way to get him. But really, enough stalling from me. Go talk about your boy.
All right, man, Mike. All right, I'm just gonna give you my score. I'm not gonna score our normal rating scale. I'm gonna push. I'm breaking the rules here, and I don't care.
Okay.
You know, I don't care, and I'm gonna give him a 6.
Listeners, you guys saw that coming, right?
Yeah, of course, man. I love Quackerjack. Michael Bell as Quackerjack is just phenomenal. Hearing him do the doctor's voice, and I can't say some of the other characters that we're going to get into later, doing their voices and stuff like that, and his laughter for it is just so perfect. I know you gave me this information a while back saying that he was not what's the word I'm looking for? He was not inspired by the Joker, but
that's coming right from Tad.
Yeah, he comes off so much like the Joker though, and the Joker is just easily my favorite DC villain. So when you get that, you get he's a jester. And Quackerjack, he's no punk either. You know, he doesn't have no superpowers, but he does backflips in some of these episodes. He's very acrobatic.
Wait. Back up. It's going to be a very long time before we get there. He does have a superpower.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Come on, his wackiness.
Okay. But, and for me being in the 90s kid and, the toys, he ran a toy company and all this kind of stuff. And, I start thinking of Toys R Us, KB Toy Store, Babbage's. I started thinking of all this stuff from my 90s, put away what we know now, I'm thinking of what I was back then as a 10, 11-year-old kid. And this just blew my mind. And then we get back to the psychiatrist part now, Mike. I've always wondered this. Did Harley Quinn get inspired by Quackerjack being the psychiatrist, being the jokester, prankster that he is, You
never know. Harley Quinn was the following year, right? And she was created specifically for that show. You never know. Alan Burnett he came up with the name Darkwing Duck, and he worked on the animated series. And I'm sure people at Disney knew what people at Warner's were doing. Hey, it's possible, or it could just be a huge coincidence.
Yeah, because she had that. Obviously she starts off as Dr. Harleen Quinzel. But once she becomes Harley Quinn, she has that jester look as well.
Yeah, since we'll probably never mention her again, or I'm not sure if we ever will. Can I just say that I adore Harley Quinn, but the Bruce Timm version, specifically the animated series version of Harley Quinn, voiced by Arlene Sorkin. I love that character. I'm never having a chance to say it, so I'm saying it now.
Yeah,
I take my moments when I get them.
Yeah, but Quackerjack, he just stands out to me, Mike. You got Megavolt. He's messing with the electrical. You got Liquidator, who's water. Negaduck. Negaduck. Negaduck doesn't play around. He's no joke.
No.
But Quackerjack, he brings a sense of humor to it that I just love, man. And it just his laughter, everything, it just cracks me up. All his catchphrases, all his lines. Don't anybody stop me. I don't know how Michael Bell come up with that.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, man.
Did you know that if Tad Stones has gotten his way, Quackerjack would have been a much darker character?
Oh wow.
That was the original intent, but it's a kid's show. You can see that. When was the last time you read the newer comics?
Oh no, it's been a while, man.
Because he's much darker in those. So I think they wanted to do Tad proud with those. He's in charge. Like in the comics, when Negaduck isn't around, Quackerjack's the one who's in charge.
Yeah.
And if you have go back to the comics sometime, I think you'll be really happy with how they treat Quackerjack.
Yeah, the last thing I'm going to say about Quackerjack, because I want to save some for Paddywhack, Banana Brain, all that other stuff.
Of course, of course.
Back to what you said with his design, sometimes you look at it and you can see the humor in it, but sometimes it does come off kind of scary,
But yeah, it's true. Quackerjack has a few moments throughout the series where he gets super dangerous. And what I love about Quackerjack, and I'll probably mention it a few times, more so than Megavolt, he is extremely childlike, and he can be childish, but he has a tendency to get super serious and has attempted on several occasions to outright murder Goslin. Like, Megavolt's never done that. Quackerjack has attempted murder of children. And this is a guy who wants kids to buy his toys. But he also has no problem killing children when he gets mad.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes him unsettling sometimes. They backed off on it later in the series. They just made him straight out goofy. But in the earlier episodes, he's incredibly dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes him just fascinating. It really does.
All right. Well, I feel good. I got a little bit of my Quackerjack rant. You know, I'll have some more, you know, and I'll have some, you know, yeah.
Well, the next 2 episodes have a minute, so we have plenty of Quackerjack.
Oh, yeah. But I, you know, those, I don't know how we're going to do those episodes because we got to talk about heroes. We got to talk about villains.
It'll work itself out.
Yeah, man. So you might go ahead and let them know what's next.
Boy, Just Us Justice Ducks, Part 1.
Part 1. Just Part 1. And we already know it's going to be rough.
Yeah. I'll say it again next time. Like, I feel like with Darkwing Duck, you can split the syndicated episodes into 2 groups. Everything that came before Justice Ducks and everything that became after. That's how big a landmark episode these 2 episodes are. We have a lot to talk about. A lot. So I should say no more. Yeah. Catch us next week for a lot of Justice Ducks discussion.
Yeah, I think next week, no pre-talk. We got to just jump right into it, huh?
Absolutely.
All right. So, Mike, where can they listen to us at, man?
Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Apple devices, over at YouTube, Pocket Cast, and Radio Public.
Oh, wow, man. You on it now, man.
Yeah, now I know it by rote, so.
Yeah, man.
And, you know, we got Instagram, we got Facebook, you know, go check us out on those too, as usual.
Yeah, and Mike, I want to give a shout out, man. I want to give a shout out to a young kid who's been messaging us on Gmail, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, his name is Andrew Wallace. Shout out, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
Yeah, man. Andrew's told me he's been trying to get some of his buddies in school to check out our podcast. He said he's got his dad following us on Facebook because he doesn't have a Facebook yet. But yeah, definitely, man. Check us out on Instagram, guys. I appreciate all the love we've been getting on Instagram as well, man.
I want to say one thing. I know by the time this episode drops, it's going to be early January. We're recording this in early December. But I just want to say, just publicly, I want to say rest in peace to Carol Spinney, who passed away. Who passed away today. Which we're recording on December 8th. See how far ahead we are. But he just passed away today, and I just want to publicly say rest in peace. You know, give my condolences to his wife, who I've met, and just we lost a legend today. You know, just wanted to say it. It's been on my mind all day. So. Oh,
one last thing, Mike. Somebody's birthday was this week too. I saw you post about it.
Oh, Walt Disney.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're forever dating this episode.
Yeah, man.
We're forever dating it. But that's okay. You know what? The things we do for you guys to get episodes out every single Monday.
I know, right?
Yep. And you know what? We've heard a lot from a lot of you guys who say they really look forward to it, listening on their way to work, because I do that too. We record them, but I look forward to Monday so I can listen to them again. And a lot of people have said it makes their week, and they really look forward to it. So we love that support, guys.
And just so you know, no one can outscore Quackerjack. That's just the way it's going to be. That's the rules.
We got someone coming up next week.
All right. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. And you guys stay dangerous.
Yep. Have some playtime on us, guys.
All right.
Don't anybody try to stop